Hello everyone, Carnassa here, and welcome back to Kerbal Gets Real. And we're in a very important year indeed. That's right, it's 1969, part 1. And we're going to see our first outsourcing contract fly this year. We're going to be sending over some parts to set up Lunar Base number 2, yet to be named. We're also going to try capturing around Mercury. So I did do a stream for this episode, but unfortunately none of that is going to actually make it into this episode, so I'll put a link up to it now. And in the stream, what I did was I started working on our human Mars mission. So I designed a lander during the stream, and then I started designing the actual craft that was going to get us to Mars. I've not gone and finished that yet, purely because I haven't actually researched the technology that I want to be able to do that. But that will be coming up very soon. They will be able to start actually working on the Demeter program. But now we're going to turn our focus to DTV for an emergency deorbit on the 18th of February 1969. So basically, with that service module attached, we didn't have enough avionics to control the attitude of this craft. That meant I wasn't able to put the solar panels in a good orientation to actually provide this craft power for the amount of time that I wanted this up in space. So what we're going to do is we are going to be bringing Yakov Fanin, Arkady Dorokin, and Galina Nazarova back home. We can see we have performed our deorbit burn now, and this is us actually coming down over the Andes Mountains. So there was a lot of shielding in this craft, a lot of shielding, and I didn't take that into consideration when landing. So we hit the ground at 20 meters per second. Rather uncomfortable, but they survived. So in future, I am definitely going to have to take that shielding into consideration. I think what I'm going to have to do is either have better parachutes on those Apollo capsules, or I'm going to have no shielding on those capsules whatsoever. And we'll have to have the shielding elsewhere in the craft, because we do need shielding. Radiation is definitely a killer. So now we're going to go to the Titan orbiter and landing device for a deep space maneuver on the 25th of February, 1969. Now this is just a very, very, very quick burn, kind of to change our inclination when we get to Saturn, and also to make our periaps at Saturn a little bit tighter. You can see I have now plotted out a maneuver once we get to Saturn to actually get an encounter with Titan, and it will be way within Titan's atmosphere, which is great because we want to use that to slow down and orbit. But now we're going to return once again to the Hermes OX for its Mercury approach on the 27th of February 1969. This took a very, very, very long time to do. The burn to actually slow down at Mercury took us around 24 minutes, I think. But you can see we have now captured at Mercury, so the brute force approach definitely did work. I mean, it probably wasn't the best of approaches, considering we had to launch this on top of the Nikarus Super 66, but we've done it. We have actually managed to achieve an orbit around the closest planet to the Sun. So that was pretty cool. I've never managed to achieve an orbit around Mercury before, so yeah, that's very exciting. And it gave us a lot of funding. Obviously, at the moment, I have been pouring out all of my funding on going to Mars and working on Conglomerate. The first lunar base contract, I still haven't actually managed to complete that. So yeah, we have been spending funds at a rather alarming rate, and we are going to need to figure out ways of actually getting those back, because I don't want to run out. Obviously, I've got 5 million at the moment, but a lot of that is going to go towards actually building our first Demeter vehicle. But now we're going to be joining LCI GOAT number 1, our first ever outsourcing contract, and of course it is the 28th of February. So this stands for the Leptum Cosmonautics Industries Gateway Orbital Assets Transport, or GOAT for short, and I'm fairly sure that's why this won the popular vote over on the Discord. Thank you very much to Experimental Shells for coming up with this design. So this is, as well, the contract laid out, a resupply mission to the ECMS. But a day later, we're going to be turning our focus to Lunar Shuttle number 6 on the 1st of March. So this is going to contain 3 new astronauts, we have Alex Flyer, Oliver Arrowwood, and Danny Morales. And this is going to be a replacement crew for, well, those 3 astronauts that went down to Conglomerate in the last episode and had to evacuate. But of course, it's all going off at the moment, so we're going to return once again to LCI Goat number 1 for its lunar capture on the 5th of March 1969. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to launch one vehicle and then the following day launch another. So this has kind of been split up between launches and captures and all of that, just so I could fit it all nicely into one segment. But there we go, we can see the ECMS coming into view now. Unfortunately, this craft did not fit where I wanted it to on the ECMS, so we had to do a little bit of rejiggery, and well, we did manage to dock it eventually to the Ellen Cox Memorial Station. Now we are going to once again turn our focus to Lunar Shuttle number 6 for its capture just a day later once again. So yeah, I was talking about this before being rudely interrupted by LCI Goat number 1. And yeah, this is just going to be a replacement crew to the ECMS. They're not going to be going down to Conglomerate or anything. Conglomerate is done. It has been finished. We are not going to go back to that cursed place anymore. We are actually going to send down another lunar base some point soon, hopefully. But now we are going to be going back to Earth with Lunar Shuttle number 5 once again on the 6th of March. So this obviously contained Kerbodyne, Cohenforce, and Lagomorph Baronovskia. And well, yeah, this was the crew that were the last crew that went down to Conglomerate, but we managed to get back to Earth just fine. Here you can see we are re-entering Earth's atmosphere, no one passed out, and we managed to splash down, bringing all 3 safely back home. So I did start talking about the next lunar base that we are going to be sending down just then, and as it stands, it doesn't have a name. And currently, over on my Discord, well, there is a vote going on, and it is a very, very, very close vote at the moment. 1 vote in it, and the 2, well, leading candidates at the moment, we have Solidarity, and we have Basie McBaseface. Thank you very much, N9, for putting Basie McBaseface forward for a name. I mean, I did mention on the vote that I probably wouldn't accept it, but you know, if it's what the people want, then I guess it's what the people want. So if you haven't already checked it out, I do have a Discord, obviously, and if you want to have your voice heard, if you want to go and vote for the name of Conglomerate 2 Electric Boogaloo, well, get over to that Discord, go over to the what shall we call it section and vote on it. But now, on the 31st of March 1969, we're going to be joining the launch of Community Station on top of an Icarus Super 66. Seems like I'm using this rocket quite a lot in recent times. In fact, I can't remember the last time I launched anything that wasn't on top of an Icarus Super 66. Anyway, Community Station is going to be the focus of our next outsourcing contract. And what I want to, well, do is to give different modules out to different people to come up with their own designs. It's kind of going to be a little bit like the International Space Station, where we get loads of different people to design different modules and we'll put it all together. That's why it's called Community Station. I want the community to build up this station into something that's really great. So expect to see a little bit more about that outsourcing contract over on the Discord relatively soon. Or well, as soon as I can actually go and set that up. But now we're going to be joining the launch of Demeter 1 supplies on the 17th of April 1969. So, for some reason, the launch tower was not having a very good day there. It decided to blow up. This is actually being launched on top of a Leviathan Super 67. So yes, it required a very large launch vehicle to actually get this up into orbit. Now, this is going to be a year and a half's worth of supplies that we're going to send over to Mars before actually sending over the Demeter vehicle, just so that we can rendezvous with this when we get to Mars and then we don't have to send it all over at once. You may have noticed then the HD3 engine did fail to ignite, which is why I was using that RCS for so long. We did actually start to get it, well, we managed to get it started though, but we kept having problems with this HD3 engine. But we did actually manage to get a rather nice encounter with Mars in the end. Although, this mission was cursed because, well, those engines are pressure fed and I may have forgotten to actually set that tank as high pressure. So unfortunately, yeah, this thing probably won't be able to capture when we get to Mars. So that was a little bit annoying and quite a large oversight by me, made even more annoying by the fact that we had to launch that on a Leviathan Super 67. So that was a very expensive launch indeed, and I feel like such a melon right now, if I'm going to be particularly honest. But anyway, we're going to come back to the vehicle assembly building because we have another Saturn window coming up. And it's not going to come up in this episode, no, it is going to be right at the very start of 1969 Part 2. So of course, I am going to have to build up something for that. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be returning to Titan. Seems like everything that goes to Saturn at the moment is going to be focused on Titan because, well, it's quite easy to capture at Titan because it has that atmosphere, so we can aero brake in the atmosphere and it can slow us down and get us an easy capture. So what this is going to be is, well, we have unlocked the high-res altimetry scanner and we've got a biome scanner on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Titan and we are going to attempt to get some lovely scans of the surface. I mean, we probably should have done this before sending a lander, but you know, I never do things in a particularly good order. So yeah, we're going to send the scanner after the lander, and hopefully when we actually try and land the lander, well, we land it somewhere decent, and probably, I mean, we'll probably end up landing in a methane lake, won't we? That is definitely what's going to happen. I can foresee that now. It will be a complete accident, but we're going to go splashing into a lake full of methane, most probably. But anyway, this thing, well, it is going to be packed to the brim with every kind of scientific experiment that I have unlocked at the moment, and that is pretty much now every scientific experiment that we're ever going to unlock. I am at a point in the tech tree where I have pretty much completed, well, all of the scientific experiments that we can get, so it's great. So we don't really need to send much more in the ways of scientific experiments once we've got this. Now you can see I have stuck it in an aero shell with a procedural heat shield. Those are very nice, those procedural heat shields. And I have colored it in a very sparkly brass color. I don't know why I decided to go for this, but you know what? I thought, yeah, let's make it really shiny. Let's make it incredibly shiny. So this stage is going to be, well, a bit of maneuvering around Saturn and maybe even getting our encounter with Titan. I'm not entirely sure yet, but yeah, hopefully we do have enough Delta V in this entire craft to actually get us on a good encounter with Titan. We'll slow down at Titan using that rather large shell stage, and then once that all detaches, we'll use that top probe, which is rather large and has got a lot of Delta V actually built into that stage. Then we will finalize our orbits there. And what we are going to have to do is we are going to have to do the scans separately. So what I will do, I'll probably do the biome scan first, and then we will raise our orbit and then do that high-res altimetry scan so we can get 2 scans done for the price of 1. It's going to be great. Anyway, so we are going to be using a modified Minotaur stage, once again with a HD3 engine to actually get us over to Saturn. I needed about 7,300 meters per second of Delta V in that stage to actually get us over there. You can see I've got 7,246 meters per second. That should be enough. And actually, very briefly, just quickly there, oh, you can kind of see it again. I have designed a new flag for the Icarus series of rockets. And basically, it's a pair of wings with an eye slapped smack bang in the middle. So now that we have built that, well, we're not going to be launching that this episode. No, we are going to have to wait for 1969 Part 2 to actually see that thing fly. But I'm sure that will probably happen on the next live stream because I imagine that will be very, very close to the start of 1969 Part 2. So what we're going to be focusing on the end of 1969 Part 1 will be trying to get our second lunar base all up and running. And there is something that I want to do with this that I'll probably talk about when we're doing the launches. So here is the first of those launches. We have ECMS refuel number 1 on the 14th of May, 1969. So basically what this is going to be a load of Aerosine and NTO to refuel ECMS. I guess it's all in the name. It's all in the name. It has been named appropriately. So yeah, what we're going to do, well, those reusable lunar landers need more fuel, so every now and then we are going to have to send one of these over so that we can actually refuel them so that we can keep using them we don't need to send a new lander over. No, we can just send this fuel over, and we can do it like that. And so yeah, this is the first thing that's going to be sent. But now we're going to be turning our focus to MB2 supplies a day later on the 15th of May. So as I said earlier on in this episode, the base doesn't have a name yet, so this is currently just Moonbase 2 supplies. So what I want to do with a lot of these is actually just put them in an orbit, and then we will attempt to land them all together. So we will land the moon base, the supplies, and the rover, which will be coming up very shortly, all on the same day. And I have a date in mind for all of those landings. So we are going to have to briefly interrupt this lunar section for New Dawn 3 for a deep space maneuver on the 16th of May. So this is just a quick correction to get us a better encounter with Neptune. And you can see it's going to take us 7,402 days to actually get there. 4,009 days even. So yeah, we're not going to be paying attention to this for a while. But finally, the last launch of this series, we have Moonbase 2 rover on the 16th of May as well. So everything all seems to be coming at once in this episode, once again on an Icarus Super 66. Now, this isn't going to be a manned rover. No, we are just going to use this to transfer supplies between the new moon base and any supply modules that we drop down. Anyway, I was mentioning briefly before about a date that we are going to try and land all of these. And that is, of course, going to be the 20th of July, 1969. A very, very, very important date indeed. So here we are back again with ECMS refuel number 1 for its lunar capture on the 19th of May, 1969. So this is just going to be going to the ECMS. It's just, once again, we've got to the moon. We're going to perform a little bit of a burn to actually get us on course with the ECMS. And then, there it is. We are going to be coming straight over to the ECMS. And this does use a slightly different docking port. It's got a docking port propellant only, which means there is only one place to dock on the ECMS for this. And that is right on that module where all of the fuel is going to be placed. I thought it's probably smart to actually dock this where the fuel needs to go rather than put it somewhere where our astronauts are going to want to go or something like that. But there we go. We are coming in close to dock right now. And there we go. We have bumped. And we are, of course, going to send this smashing into the lunar surface because, well, we don't need this anymore. We don't want to clutter up the ECMS any more than we already have. It is getting rather large and rather busy. And yeah, it gets a bit laggy when I get over to there now. So now we're going to be focusing our attention on Moonbase 2 supplies number 1. It's lunar capture on the 20th of May, 1969. So, like I did say, we are just going to leave these in orbit. And once again, yes, the rover, we will also leave this in orbit around the moon until we are ready to send all of the components down to land. So that was the last launch of 1969, part 1. And of course, I did say 20th of July, 1969 is when I want to land all of these. And of course, the reason why that is because that was when Apollo 11 landed on the moon. And when Neil Armstrong famously got out and said those ever so famous words, that's one small step, and you know the rest. So, yes, we will have Moonbase 2. You can see it's rolling out to Launchpad already, but unfortunately, it is the 1st of July. So that is the end of this episode. If you have enjoyed this episode, why not give it a like? If you have really enjoyed this episode and would like to continue with the content on my channel, please do consider subscribing. I have been Karnasa, and I will see you later.